Hey everyone, if you're listening to this, I'm probably already... I've moved on, but I want to share this because I think it's important, and maybe, you can avoid doing the things I did too. And sorry if there's noise in the background, I'm currently outside at the beach, so, anyway, so the story begins, I guess about 3 months ago, when I first decided to check out this underwater survival game. It's called Subnautica, and it's basically, it's like you have to survive on an alien planet, and it's mostly underwater, so that makes it really unique. Well, I'd heard a lot about the game, and I know they're working on a sequel right now, so I figured that would be the perfect time to hop in, literally. So yeah, in the game there are many cool animals, and particularly there's this one, they call it the cuddlefish. The game has this cool mechanic where when you find the egg of a fish, you can then hatch it in your aquarium, and it will be friendly to you, and these cuddlefish you can only find 5 of in the game, and they're supposed to be like pets, I think. They look very... well, they're great, but yeah, you're supposed to hatch them from an egg, and there's only 5 of those. But something strange happened to me. So this is like 2 weeks ago, and I'm out there just exploring the world. Now, I had finished the game a couple of times already because I liked it, and I figured that to wrap up the session for the evening, I'll just go out of the game's map and see if I could trigger a funny glitch of some sort. The part of the map you can actually play on reaches something like 7 kilometers from the life pod, I think, so I was swimming for quite a while. I managed to stasis the ghosts and just kept going, but the game never sent me back. Instead, everything stopped spawning, and I was just in an endless blue ocean. And that's where it found me, or, I mean, I guess I found it. So, a cuddlefish appeared. Just out of nowhere. Remember how I said that if you can hatch fish, and then they become friendly and stuff? Well, I hadn't hatched any this run, and cuddlefish are never found in the wild like this. I don't think so, at least. But there it was, just emerged from the distant blue haze, did its classic little chirp and swam around me. I tried to pet it, but it wouldn't work, and I mean, I was surprised, but in a pleasant way, at first at least, so yeah, I saved the game there because I had to go to bed and shut it down for the night. The next evening, I hopped back on and was greeted with this. Some strange error message. I figured that something must have gone wrong with my save last night. Maybe the file somehow got corrupted, and that's why the game acted so strange. Yet when I selected it, the game started just fine, and when I loaded in, I was in the safe shallows again. It was there too. I continued playing like normal on that save file, and as the days progressed, I started noticing strange things. Not like anything crazy, but just something seemed off about that cuddlefish. I couldn't put my finger on it for the longest time. I had hatched cuddlefish before in other playthroughs, but this one was different. It seemed to follow me just a bit closer than any of the others. Always just right next to me, like to the point where it would bump into my seamoth all the time as it swam beside me. The interactions with it, when it actually worked, would often cause the game to chug and stutter, and in general, it seemed, I'm not really sure how to put it, more attached? I didn't really mind. I mean, the fish is supposed to be like a pet, I guess, but over time I started to notice it more. I would catch it just staring sometimes. I managed to snap this picture. It would always hide really quickly when I turned, but I would just see it in the window of my base, looking motionless. It was at this point where I started getting a little uncomfortable playing on that save file. On one hand, I was kind of curious to see more of this strange behavior, but on the other, it was like, I don't know, just strange, I guess. Anyway, so things escalated from there a bit. I tried scanning the fish, but the PDA message would always come back as just a jumbled mess, no matter how many times I reloaded the save file. Strange signals would show up on my HUD, pointing to nothing. My base would lose power, go dark, and immediately light up again. I tried all the usual stuff like reinstalling and verifying game files, but just nothing worked. I also tried creating a new save file, but the weird thing was, no matter what I selected or what I did, I always loaded into the world with the cuddlefish without fail. Like, the game seemed really messed up. I couldn't even see that save file anymore, and yet it would always spawn me into that same world. You know, it's strange. Now that I think about it, hard to say why I didn't just drop the game and move on. Even when I took breaks because I was uncomfortable, there was always just something pulling me back. A curiosity, I guess. And that was when, so I had just come from a material gathering trip on the mountain island, and I was chilling in my base when, I'm not sure how to describe it, it sounded like something splashed inside my moon pool. I ran over there and I saw nothing, no sign of anything weird, but I had never heard a sound like that before. It was odd. I went back to crafting, and once it got dark, I decided to just go to sleep, so I went to my bedroom and hit the bed. Now, when you do this, your character just usually lays down and then you wake up the next morning, but I didn't. Everything just went black, as expected, but then, well, the camera suddenly turned on again, and my character was just staring into the ceiling. It was dark everywhere. The base must have gone dark again, and I couldn't move. The camera was totally stuck, and it was so quiet. And that's when I heard it. It was silent at first. The sound got louder and closer, just wet, slithering along the floor, inching towards me. I couldn't look, but I had to look. I needed to look, but the camera was stuck, and it got closer and closer, and then the game closed. I just sat there in shock. Could actually feel myself physically shaking. I had never seen anything like this in the game before. I did the sensible thing of trying to Google it if anybody else had experienced this, but nothing came up. It was dark in my apartment. It must have been past midnight at this point, and so I decided to just go to sleep. Was feeling freaked out already, and I really didn't want to play anymore that night. So I brushed my teeth, changed into my PJs, I lay down and tried to put the whole thing out of my mind. I basically jumped out of my bed, my eyes trying to see through the darkness of my room, but there was nothing. Just dead silence of the night. Honestly, I thought I must have just been freaked out from the game earlier. My imagination was just running wild or something, surely. Yeah, so I picked the game up again the next day. I'm not sure how to better explain it other than that I needed to. I had to know what would happen, so nervously, I loaded in. My character was standing beside the bed. I guess the whole sleeping thing didn't save. Against my better judgment, I tried sleeping again. With bated breath, I watched the animation play out, but nothing strange happened. Puzzled, I exited my base, and well, the cuttlefish wasn't there. I looked around, and it was nowhere to be found, but it wasn't just the cuttlefish. I couldn't actually see a single other creature. The world was empty. I swam around my moon pool when... I jumped so hard. The sound was unlike anything I had heard in the game before, and it came from right behind me. I spun the camera around, and of course, there it was. I'm not sure where it went, but it was back, swimming innocently back and forth, and now that I looked around, I could see more creatures again. It was the strangest thing. I still don't have any explanation for it. From this point on, I actually started to notice that the cuttlefish would often leave me. I don't know why or how, but I would just lose sight of it completely. I kept playing, but the thing is, I wasn't even really progressing anymore. My memory just felt hazy. I would launch the game and hours would pass. And whenever I snapped out of it, I would quit and try to do something else. But inevitably, I would be back soon enough. I started to... Whenever I would drift off to sleep or just have a quiet moment, I could hear it. The chirps, I know it now, it was calling to me. And then finally, a few days ago, I loaded in and it led me away from the base. It was clear to me what was happening. I somehow knew, just inside, what it was trying to tell me. I followed it across the map toward the edge and into the void. There were no ghosts. They didn't appear as it pulled me even further into the vast open waters. And then at some point it spoke to me. I'm not sure, I don't recall what it said.
Or if it spoke at all now that I think about it.
I don't even think it looked at me. And then it left. Just as I had found it, must have been the same spot. It swam away into the deep blue and I knew not to follow then. And just like that, it was gone. I never saw it again. My save file seemed to have gone back to normal. There were fish around, my base had power, no strange sounds, and yet, whenever I would close the game, it was still there. Every time I closed my eyes, I hear it. I would see movement out of the corner of my eye, and when I spun around, there'd be nothing, but I know it's there. And I've been looking for him everywhere. I need to know where he went. And now, I think I finally understand where I need to go, so I have to. I just have to. So, that's it for me. I love you all.
So what do you make of that one?
Not sure. Doesn't really fit the Foundation profile, right?
Hard to say. Well, archive it for now. We can cross-check it later.